Studying matter at its deepest level, observing the smallest particles that form 3D reality, we discover that matter does not truly exist in well-defined locations. Particles only tend to exist, and subatomic events do not occur at specific instants. They merely present probabilities of occurring. While unobserved, a particle remains in quantum superposition, existing everywhere at once. It is observation that causes the particle to collapse into a position in space. In the double-slit experiment, physicists expect that a particle of light would behave as a corpuscular unit. When fired through two slits toward a flat surface, it should be reflected in an isolated manner, in the direction of the slit it passed through. However, the experiment proved otherwise. A photon was fired through two slits, and when examined, it was found to have been reflected in a scattered pattern of light and dark bands, rather than in a single isolated spot. It was as if a wave had passed through both slits simultaneously, dividing into and interfering with itself, just like when we create ripples in water that blend and oscillate in all directions. Physicists could not accept that a single particle might pass through two slits and exist in two places at once, so they repeated the experiment, this time placing a measuring device to observe the exact moment of passage. The result was shocking. When measured at the precise moment it passed through, the particle behaved as a single unit, passing through only one slit and reflecting on the surface in an isolated way. It was as though, upon being measured, the particle knew it had to behave like a solid object, as if it responded to the act of observation itself, and to the questioning of matter's solidity, behaving according to the intent of the observer. When unobserved, it existed only in terms of probability. Thus, the wave function of the particle was discovered not as an object with a definite position in space, but as a wave that, when observed, collapses and is rendered as a solid object. This reveals that reality is not composed of objective material elements, but of relative informational elements connected to a probabilistic field that condenses upon observation, rather than a pre-existing solid reality. This also shows that what we call material world is not separate from the mind. It responds to our intentions and beliefs. Physicist Thomas Campbell, in his book My Big TOE, Theory of Everything, proposes that reality is a virtual program, a transcendental technology through which our perception of matter is generated by a sophisticated system similar to a computer simulation like SimCity or World of Warcraft. According to Tom, our reality is the result of an ongoing simulation. Everything that exists has an informational basis, just like in a virtual reality. What appears to be matter is merely information producing this perception, an outcome of a highly advanced technology capable of creating complex universes. Because of the system's perfection, the simulated universe evolves from a virtual Big Bang, where the laws of physics are programmed to provide precisely the conditions necessary for geological and biological formation in our universe. This event likely occurred after millions of iterations until reaching a viable version. The simulation we inhabit is just one among many, and as pilots within it, we are not perishable like our avatars. Our consciousness is immersed in the system, receiving stimuli and translating them through the five senses programmed into the biological avatar, experiencing the sensation of solidity and participation in a 3D world. Yet, this apparent solidity is only the result of the programmed sensory experience. The same applies to the double-slit experiment. If the program detects measurement or observation by a conscious entity, what was once a mere potential, described by a field of probabilities, becomes definite. It is simply the program deciding that the information will now be rendered as a particle. due to the observation of a consciousness experiencing that reality. The simulator system detects whether or not there is an observer. The simulation operates economically. Nothing that is not being used is rendered. Rendering occurs only at the moment of use, when someone is looking. That is why the shift from wave to particle happens only after the program detects the presence of an observer. Before that, everything exists merely as a cloud of probabilities within the program's information. In a video game, the characters are made of the same pixels as the scenery and other characters, and yet they interact as if they were separate. Our reality is similar. We are made of the same atoms, protons, neutrons, and electrons as stars, planets, objects, animals, and people. And still we experience separation, individuality, and interaction with an external world, exactly like in a game. According to the sage Hermes Trismegistus, as above, so below. As below, so above. Could our universe be a technology designed by conscious beings from higher dimensions? Just as in our limited three-dimensional existence, we create games and virtual realities. A computer or video game is nothing more than a program that draws one image after another using pixels and geometric lines, creating the illusion of animation. The program reads the player's inputs through a controller or keyboard, processes those commands, and computes the variables that occur according to the player's choice. From this perspective, just as we, from the third dimension, control characters in two-dimensional games, entities from higher dimensions might be playing this 3D game, controlling biological avatars firsthand, guiding us through the available possibilities according to the conditions generated by the observing mind of the character, shaped by what it believes, perceives, and chooses.